Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you can't tell just by knowing that I am an artist, although I feel like ideally it would be self-explanatory at that point, I'm a big hater of AI, especially as it pertains to art. Now obviously I have to preface that I do think there is some value in AI tools, just like how there is value in any tool, but as soon as anyone gets even a whisper closer to claiming AI art as a genre, my tummy starts bubbling. I don't really feel like getting into it extensively in this video because as someone who works within art and education and oddly enough also relevant religious studies, I literally cannot escape conversations surrounding AI. And I hate it. So obviously, to give myself some space from that which devours my soul, I decided to try my hand at the old real artist tries AI art trend without using AI trend. You know, for fun. Now here comes the real problem of the day. I am not a digital artist. I am so aggressively a traditional artist that these little caricatures you're seeing right now is just about the best I can do. Heck, even the best digital work I've done was done with a pencil. Took a class on digital imaging this semester and my proudest assignment was this Endangering Public Roberta movie poster. I've never even seen Saving Private Ryan. I just had those words knocking around in my head for a week straight and had to do something with it. That leads us to the game plan of this video. We're going to be accomplishing today two things that AI hates above all else, besides fact-checking. Not only will I be experiencing genuine learning and self-improvement while I kerfuffle my way through digital art, but I, a real artist, will also be stealing a job from AI. I decided for this video specifically I'll be trying the AI doll trend because A, I hope that creating something I can make lean really cartoony will give me a familiar base to build my digital skills on top of, and B, what's scarier than AI? No, not dolls, it's not my fault you watched Coraline too early. I was going to say digital realism. I am not doing that today. Or tomorrow. Or next week. Honestly, we'll see if I get to it at all this year. Speaking of Coraline though, I actually ended up drawing something along those lines for my final drawing, not because I was looking at Coraline for inspiration, but because as I looked back at my own childhood experiences with dolls, I kept going back to Lalaloopsy. In hindsight, I think Lalaloopsy was one of those things that my parents never intended for me and my siblings to get our grubby little hands on. I think the only reason my sister and I had a couple at all was because this specific set was my earnings from a kindergarten gain of White Elephant. The only real dolls I actually remember having as a kid were baby dolls and our older cousin's hand-me-down Barbies. Those were the examples that were first going through my head as I was scribbling out my first drafts of my doll, but it just didn't feel appropriately like me. The Barbie doll felt too polished, and the baby doll, while an accurate simile, felt just a little too limited when I was thinking about facial features. In any caricature-ish rendition of myself, I always need to include my big bushy eyebrows as part of it. They're my favorite part of my face. I've always had them, and they really took a long time of growing to learn to love. I've had my prominent-ass eyebrows since before I had my teeth, so it's not like a baby doll with thick eyebrows would be an inaccurate depiction of me, but it just didn't feel right for what I was going for in terms of raggedy Anness. All these things considered, Lalaloopsy just really ended up being the most logical template, at least for what I ended up going with today. Once I settled on a sketch that I liked, I moved that little scribble into a new Procreate file. Because I don't know, maybe there's a reason I need a whole new file. Maybe there's a reason I can't just add another layer. I don't know, leave me alone. This is also the part where I realized that backgrounds are kind of important, so I decided to do one of those really worn old cardboard boxes that you might find an old doll like this at an antique store in. For the most part, that background didn't even come into fruition. Hello? Thanks, Fill Tool, I guess. Anyways, guys, all I'm doing right now is refining the sketch I already had, sort of similar to how I would go over a pencil drawing with a kneaded eraser and then go over it again just with pencil. I feel like on paper this is the most important step for any drawing. I feel like fine lining with marker. I really have to start with a messy sketch and then go back over it again and again until I have all of the dark lines that I want. I also took this opportunity to give myself some little accessories like a little black sketchbook and a pencil, and I also decided that the yarn wasn't right for my hair. Instead, I'm thinking it's one solid piece of felt that somebody tore at with pliers on the end. Now that my favorite part is out of the way, let's move on to the fine lines. Guys, I'm gonna be honest, I kind of banged my head against the wall with this one. I wasn't sure what parts I wanted to fill with black and what parts I wanted to keep so I could color later. I also hate color. I hate color in any medium except for maybe oil paint, so this whole time as I was fine lining, I was really thinking of ways that I could fill all the shading and space before I got around to it. Luckily all the line work is done now, and with its completion, I finally realized I made a grave error. I forgot my eyebrows. No, maybe I'm the only one that experiences this, and maybe it's just my own brain being stupid, but I feel like it's so easy for me when working with digital tools to lose track of each individual thing because it's all flat and I can't physically feel any of it. Regardless, my solution for the eyebrows were just pieces of yarn that were stitched on either side. Hold on. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Remember when I said I hated working with color? Yeah, I'm gonna have to turn up these dials a little bit. That's better. Sorry guys. Now, I've heard people say that laying down flat color is their favorite part of coloring something because they just get to pick pretty colors that work well together. I disagree. Before you say anything, don't tell me that I can't disagree with an opinion. I would just much rather follow lines I already have with colors I already have than fill in new color schemes and try to think of what color shirt I'm wearing because it's probably just black. Why did I bother thinking of a different one? Side note, I'm still not set on the way that I like to use shading. Again, this is just one of those things that I feel like is more difficult for me when I can't physically or visually feel, if that makes any sense, what I'm doing. It helps me in real life to be able to see how the light plays on the paper or the canvas that I'm using, versus on the iPad, it's just kind of a box of lights. I know a lot of people lay out flat color and then on top of that they do a gradient from their darkest darks to their lightest lights all on one layer, so then when you layer them together it sort of creates this 3D effect on top of the color you already have. I swear I've walked myself through tutorials like that before, but there's this psychological blockage where I'm like, these are my blacks and whites and these are my colors, and I'm supposed to make color darker with color and black and white darker with black and white. Not darker with white, I'm just, I'm airing out my digital dirty laundry right now. In any case, I guess it's time to go back to that background that I promised, and originally I was trying to do more with the box. I was trying to make it look really weathered, but then I started playing around with all these pretty purples and it made me think of a carpet. I kind of just wanted the wallpaper and carpeting to shine here. When I was a kid, these were my favorite colors, and now that I'm an adult, they've come back as my favorite colors, and I figured since this is an antique doll from my childhood, I think it makes perfect sense to go with this color scheme. And I'm sure at this point you're recognizing these colors as the background colors in my little digital desk area for those little caricatures, and this actually came first. I decided on the concept of this video and did the actual art for it before I came up with the idea to do those little characters for myself. But just like in real life, these aren't my real walls and these aren't my real carpet. This is my idealized childhood version of myself as a doll. And I think I did a decent job of articulating that. Now, I'm sure that there will be people in the comments, if there are comments at all, saying how AI could have done this way faster than I did, or cleaner than I did, or it would have actually looked like a doll, or overall it would have just been better than mine. But I don't think any of that matters. I don't need to do better than AI, because competitive replicable quality, or more accurately cleanliness, is not what I'm banking the success of this project on. It's not that I don't care what it looks like, it's just that my standards are not the same as a machine's, because my standards can be personal. My personal goal was to try something new using a format I've never done before, but I've loved seeing other artists try. I am not a digital artist, but this video gave me the chance to practice in a low-stakes, carefree challenge sort of way, and to receive feedback from a community of other artists who share in my experiences. And that's like the best thing ever. This project and process also gave me a launching point to practice a whole other art form, public content creation. Guys, this is the first time I've ever tried to make a video in this semi-animated style before, and it was such a tedious, fulfilling whirlwind. I can't say with confidence that I'll make a video like this again in the near future, if nothing else because of how long it took. I really meant to drop this video like a week and a half ago, and I'm frustrated with myself that it took so long. But at the same time, seeing this all come together in the end has been beyond satisfying. Let me know your thoughts about the format and, as always, the content in the comments, and thanks you guys so much for supporting me with a view and a like. I hope to see you kids in the next video where I try something else that's completely new and literally nobody but me cares that much about it. Goodbye! Can you hear my cat purring, guys? I really hope you can. She purrs really loudly. Hey, Stella. Thanks, guys.